As all good businesses do, and certainly most great marketers, we all have our calendar full of dates and holidays, significant events in which either ourselves or our businesses or our brands might have a position or a statement that's relevant and in context to that day and why it's so significant. In the last few weeks, I have been thinking I would post something about equal pay and gender equality related to pay. It means a lot to me, and I thought it would be something that I would easily be able to write about. Maybe the Equal Remuneration Conference held in 1951, in which women entered the workforce by the thousands in support of World War II. But in the last week, I found it very difficult when thinking about having a conversation on equality and fairness when the events of the globe have Russia invading a peaceful country, Ukraine. I remember in 2014, when I was living in Switzerland, I had two really great neighbors, these 18-year-old girls who were in Switzerland on a golf scholarship. And they walked my dog, Uncle Henry, every day. We became really good friends. And I saw the pain and the terror on their faces the day that Russia invaded Ukraine. And they had to try and find a way to get their families and their parents to safety out of Ukraine. A lot of Americans haven't witnessed anything like that up close in quite a number of years. And we're very fortunate to be at quite some distance in miles from where these wars typically take place. So you can imagine that it's difficult for many of us in the U.S. to think about how we can speak about fairness and equality when things like this are going on in the world. A few moments ago, I was reading an article on Forbes in which there's a list of all the private companies and organizations, publicly traded organizations as well, that have taken a stand. And it reminded me of something that I think about in terms of when people say, I can't do anything. It's really not mine to do something with. And I would challenge that. Sometimes we sit around and want to blame others for our position, others for our faults or our difficulties. Sometimes we want to blame companies for that or brands. Many times we want to blame the government. We want to blame the other political party. And those of you that know me know that I have very little tolerance for the blame game. And I like to look at the world as one big spaghetti bowl, and we're all sort of in this together. I also think we're a lot more alike than we are different. It's shades of gray, right? And so when I saw this post by Forbes, which I'm going to share with you as well, I remind us that it's not just about governments. It's not just about businesses or not-for-profit organizations. It's not just about ourselves, but it's what all of us can do collectively. What can our governments do? What can our organizations and community groups do, our churches, our not-for-profits? And what can we as individuals do? I promise you, there's something we can all do. And every little bit counts. And so I'll just close by saying on this day where we want to think about equality between men and women, I think it's very important that we think about equality around the world as well. How crazy is this that I'm getting all teared up in a simple message about equality? But it's very hard for most of us to comprehend that in this day and age, that things like war still ravage around the world. But we're not helpless. We can do something. And I encourage each of you to do something and take a stand today.